So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wealth Builders community. And this week we are dealing with the specific enemy that has got to go. This enemy of boldness, you need boldness to accomplish anything, to do anything worthwhile. And Yeah, we saw this particular enemy wreak havoc in the Bible times, but we know full well that even in our lives, the day that we are in today, um, this enemy still is the thing that stops us from doing so much. Fear is an enemy of boldness. I put a statement there that when I was assessing everything in terms of fear, the impact that it has. It calls itself wisdom when it wants control. It says, oh, it's just God's wisdom to wait for God's timing. It's just God's wisdom. Oh, and whilst there is God's timing on certain things, but the bold, there's even a verse in the Bible that says, the kingdom of God suffers violence, but the violent take it by force. That shows me of a people who are bold. It says, what? I'm going in there. And when I recall Joshua as he was going into the promised land, the core instruction was meditate on this word day and night. So, meditation that we are doing as we are going through this session. I hope you're enjoying the meditation sessions that I'm recording and sending to you. Meditate on the word day and night. Meditation allows you to become one and to begin to see that which you want to accomplish. So, seeing it as if it is done, becoming it, walking it, right? And do what it says so that, you actually accomplish what you want to accomplish. And he says, be bold and courageous. Be bold and courageous. So, boldness in my native language of Shona, they say, Ane Chivindi, Chivindi. People with Chivindi, you just wonder, how did they get there? Like, really? In this climate? So, when the markets are raging and things are going topsy turvy, the bold right now are looking and saying, what position can I be taking in that situation where it all looks helter skelter? What opportunities are there? And they're bold enough to get in there and go for it. So, you can't operate in fear. When you're fearful, which is what a lot of the news does, and yet actually, news is really supposed to just inform us of the opportunities and the things that are happening. But when we watch the news, we start getting so fearful, so anxious, depressed. Oh, now what we wanted to do, oh, we can't do it anymore. By the time they're talking about it out there, you know, who is bold has already taken their position, and they're actually sometimes they're actually giving you the information to justify some of the bold things that they've already decided to do and are going to do anyway. If I think about you know I don't know how effective those masks were, quite frankly, but like everybody needs to take masks, and all of a sudden masks were in full supply. The ones who were in the know already were saying, right, you get the contract for this, you get the contract. Do you know? So every situation, and I'm not minimizing the threats that Big C had. It was huge, but it coming into place, it was something fearful. But the bold made progress. The bold accessed their promised land, and I want us to be those who begin to operate with a spirit of boldness. When the 12 spies went into the promised land, they were sent 12 of them to spy out the land, to check out what's really happening here. We hear this news, what's really going on. And when they went, they said, they are locusts, they are giants, we just can't even beat them, right? But two of them came and said, yeah, well, they may be there, but we can defeat them. They are defeatable. So it's a perspective, it's a posture of boldness which eradicates fear. So that's what we want to operate in now, because fear is actually costing you, right? You do not defeat what you keep excusing. Yeah. So fear keeps, oh, well, it wasn't the right time. So it keeps you out. It keeps you out of the circle. It keeps you out of the loop. It keeps you out of the promised land. You only choose what feels safe. You over research to avoid risk. You shrink the vision to match your fear, to say, you don't want to be too much. Oh, hey, hey. Labagazodo. May we be delivered from fear, every fear that is standing in the way of the life that we deserve, the life that we were born to live, right? And it shows up in many different ways. In many, what would happen if you just pulled the plug on fear and say, my friend, see you later? Fear of what will people think? Fear, what if I fail? What if it all goes wrong? All those fears that are standing in the way. If we remember what we said as we're doing these series, is, listen, you got oil. There are vessels to pour into. There are people who are waiting for what you're carrying. And we have to pivot to attend to our marketplace, the people and the places that need what it is that we have to offer. Um, because our idea sometimes is not that it's wrong, but it's very good. But the evidence of the results that we're getting makes us think, it's just a waste of money. I'm wasting my time. And fear comes, what if I lose, what if I'm wasting my time? What if I lose all my money? But when you come with an element of boldness, your idea juices start to flow and you think, hold on, how can I hold on to this? How can I keep funding this? Because I know this is a good idea. Perhaps sometimes it's not the right time. You are, we talked about gifts sometimes. Sometimes you're a prophetic person. And within you, you have a knowing that there's going to be a need for this. So you invest in a well and you start bottling water, but you're thinking, there's so much competition. My name is not even get. But because you are not doing it how others are doing it, buying from a source, you own the well itself. you know, in the moment where there's water scarcity, you have the well, you have the source, and your investment pays off. But it takes a boldness to take that level of investment or that level of stance with what you have decided and worked through that you're going to do, right? Um, Now, the cost of tolerating fear is this: it comes to attack your wealthy place. So you delay in the investments you're supposed to make or the decisions you're going to make, low visibility. Yeah. Show up anyway, show up as you are. I was looking at these two 15-year olds. I'm going to share it in the group later on, actually. They just made bold moves. One was in is it Sierra Leone, both African, and one Senegal. And as they were with their faces like this, like, yeah, what are you gonna do to me? And just that boldness to show up on camera and do a live. If you're not doing it for anyone else, you might not be the person who goes viral online, but that breaking that barrier of saying, I showed up and I delivered the message and I got it out there. Perhaps there are other messages that you need to deliver in other rooms, and this is your practice ground of how would you deal with comments. I remember once posting something, and my goodness, did I get a heckling? Oh, you are foolish. You think this, you think that, brainwashed. And I thought to myself, my goodness, there are people out there. But this is, these are your bears and the lions that you're fighting, like little David did in the secret place, where you come home and you lick your wounds and you're like, it's tough out there. But boldness keeps saying, no, I'm not going to stop showing up. I'm going to keep showing up. Tomorrow I know how to answer. Tomorrow I'm going to keep posting again. Let them, they are the ones who will tire. I'm not, or when they put their horrible posts up, I'll just delete and block and stop them from accessing my page. But I'm not gonna, this is my space that I've created. I'm making room. It happened to Isaac as well, isn't it? When he was redigging the wells, there was so much contention against those wells. They generationally they belong to him. What area, what space generationally belongs to you? You know, what generational blessings have your name on them, but other people have taken them over, and you are going back to say, this is my spot, this is my space, this world belongs to me. And people will come and fight for it. But he didn't quit. He kept saying, okay, you take that one. I know where another one is. This space of water is mine. I don't know why I'm talking so much about water today. But yeah, missed rooms, partners, platforms, faith remains an unused muscle that you talk about. The just shall live by faith. Those who know their God, they will do exploits, and you'll be quoting scriptures. And I think a lot of believers or faith people, um, that's why they're a bit disillusioned even about the faith. If anyone comes and rocks them here and there, because it's just a word game, and the action is not really going for things that are like, what if we get settled in the comfortable, but what if there's more? What if there's more than what you've experienced? Is this all that there is to existence? Like I said, beyond this life there's the grave, and you ain't going nowhere there. That's why they put rest in peace. You will sleep, and you will sleep, till Christ comes back. So, and there are thousands and thousands of generations he is not back yet, that are still sleeping. So whilst we're here, whilst we've got breath in our lungs, whilst we're able to talk, whilst we're able to dance, to write, to implement, to oh my goodness, it's our time to find that courage, that boldness to do that thing that you want to do. So, another one I've been mentioning him, is David, right? He moved towards Goliath with skill. He had faith, he believed. So there's some things that are happening in the secret place that are uh actually your little testing you, where you get little small victories and you say, oh, actually, I can do this. Oh my gosh, I made money with this. So you're seeing it on a small scale, because there's that revelation and that confidence that's coming to you to say, who are you? You were talking about archetypes earlier. Who are you? What qualities do you possess? And that's great to collect that information. So you actually know that, I am this. Surely I am that. So when it's now time for the big show or the pitch for your business, you can go there with confidence, having covered the different angles, because you're assured, you know. And he took that little stone, hit Goliath, and the giant was hit. So what Goliaths are ready for all the experiences that you've had, all the things that you've gone through, all the things that you've put through. Yeah. I love the story. A real live example um, of, you know, faith in action. The owners of Airbnb, and we're going to be staying in an Airbnb in a few weeks' time. In 2008, Brian Chesky, Joe Gebier, and Nathan, I can't pronounce his name. It's Polish. It's Blechkowski. Apologies. They had actually built Airbnb, right? But the problem was almost nobody was actually using it. No, very few people were using it. And they had maxed out their credit cards, were struggling to pay their rent, and investors were now rejecting them. So they had this wonderful idea, they had invested in it, and the business was close to collapse. When you reach your brink's end, but in you, you know that, there is something in this thing that I have. And a lot of people at that point would have thought to themselves, it wasn't God's plan. Maybe the market's not ready for us. We should just go back to our 9 to 5s, go back and get a normal job. But you know what? They started asking different questions. They actually thought, what can we do? Boldness keeps says, what can we do to defeat these giants? What can we actually do? The giant of debt was in their face, of rejection, of failure. It was staring them flat in their face. And they came up with a crazy idea, because in every season and time, there's something going on which becomes another leverage, another opportunity, to do something. It was in 2008, it was actually the US presidential election, and everyone was talking about Barack Obama. and John McCain. So that was the big topical thing. So what they then did is they designed novelty breakfast cereals. Obama O's, and they called it the breakfast of change, and Captain McCain's, a maverick in every bite. Imagine. So what they actually went and did, they hand assembled, because they didn't have a factory, they didn't have a lot of capital, bought inexpensive cereal to fill them and marketed them as limited edition collector's items. And the boxes were selling for $40 each. Imagine. Many people looked and thought, what are these people doing? They knew where it pained them, and they decided to take action, bold action, to say, you know what, this our idea is good. We're not gonna let it fold like that. You know, the kingdom of God is suffering violence. We are taking it by force. And during those sales, they actually made 30,000 in revenue, right? It didn't make them wealthy, but it actually bought them time. So sometimes you just need something to just create a little bit more room for you, time to keep building, to improve their ideas, to just keep going, right? They were sold. It wasn't a diversion, it wasn't diversifying into cereals. They were still intent that this our idea is got to work. How can we make it work, right? And then they were interviewed for Y Combinator, and an investor called Paul Graham heard about their serial story. So, what story have you pushed with through in your identity beyond the planning, the researching, the scared phase, that someone can say, wow, what? Ha, these founders don't quit. I want to invest in them. They are a resourceful bunch. They've taken advantage of the elections. They've taken the little that they have, and they are pressing on like this. They are able to solve problems creatively, and took them on, you know, gave them some mentorship, seed funding, and the business model, improved. And here we are today. Bob's your uncle. Airbnb still lives, doing well. So, it's not like that cereal box was the miracle that changed everything, but it showed the character of these, you know, um, founders. It showed that they didn't care about being embarrassed. Most of us entrepreneurs, we worry about, man, what will people say? Oh, you know, ah, you know, have you ever heard of that? You've got to stay in your lane. Hey, they went into the cereal lane temporarily, to just get there's money flowing there. I want to do that. I know what I want to do, but I'm gonna scoop some of that to keep afloat, to push my project forward, right? And it's similar to, if you think about the children of Israel when they had a fortified city of Jericho to go through. They got an instruction, they got a prophetic word to go around it 7 times. I mean, people would have looked and said, hey, what are these people doing? Those stupid ones just marching kichi 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 kichi. Eh? So sometimes even fear of what will people think, it's a thing that we have to be delivered from to be able to go anywhere, you know and I know, for a long time, that was the number one thing that I think, in my own journey, God was helping me do. I mean, I worked in finance and banking, and I'll just get this idea, why don't you do your hair blue? Why don't you make it red? And at first I was like, oh, people don't invest with people with blue hair. You know what I mean? Like, but as I did it, I felt something break off me, you know? It's like, okay. And then I think that one time I was like, well, what about the full rainbow spectrum? I'm like, you can't walk around with rainbow hair. But as I did it and I rocked it, and I know people were talking about it, it was me personally being delivered from fear of man. What will people say? Why has she got blue hair? Why is she dancing? Why is she, So you have to have a level of boldness to accomplish certain things. So I don't know what you are feeling led to do, or what little steps that you can take to cut that fear off you, but it's got to go because it's standing in the way of your promised land. it's standing in the way, you know. So, and I did this not once, not twice. I did blue hair, I did green hair, I did purple hair, then I did a rainbow. I did it a few times. And each time people would be asking, hey, your hair's blue, hey, it's green. Hey, what sort of this? Ah, hey, a grown woman like you. So, each time getting the different comments, getting the different statements, I know it was doing something to me. And I was like, so what? Yeah, I like blue. It's my favorite color. So I've got blue hair. I love it, you know? And Mm, Father, thank you. So, and guess what? It actually didn't impact. So there are some people who might have thought, oh well, I can't work with someone like that, but it didn't stop things moving for me. In fact, it opened up to a lot of other people who embrace that courage, and you know, you want to call them your tribe or the people who who can flow with you in a certain way. So there's more in every season. There's more, that there are more victories to be won, there are more giants to slay. We need to keep looking back and saying, listen, what is the price that I have to pay to step in to my promised land? I can't allow fear to keep taunting me like it's taunting me, you know because remember, I just want you to think of the RIP. Yesterday I discovered there's a wonderful I want to call her sister in Christ. A few years ago, she would teach me how to flag worship and 3 years ago, I actually thought about her, and I tried to call her, couldn't get her phone, and I just thought, where is she? And I'd never really connected with her on Facebook or anything. I knew her first name, I knew her number, I knew her email, everything was bouncing back. I'm like, what happened to her? She was as fit as a fiddle, everything. And we would normally connect once a year. When I did a conference, a worship conference, she would definitely be there. And yesterday, I don't know how I just remembered her surnames. And then I went on Facebook again because I was thinking about her again. And I went and I realized she died 3 years ago. She didn't have children, wasn't married. So I wasn't in touch with any of her other family, but I was in touch with her. And I thought, whoa, how did that happen? Like, really, she was full of life, full of zest. One little bug or whatever it was, and she's gone. And she was a young person, you know what I mean? And it just made me think, wow. And we would talk about things, how the Lord is going to use her, or how he's using her, the doors he's opening, how excited she was about certain things. And I'm thinking that was actually it. So if this is actually it for you, this stage that you're on, this life, this experience, these days, this is it. What things would you do differently? You know, you've got to start to execute. Don't go into that RIP without executing. I mean, I think she had a full life. She had explored business. She was living her best life, if you ask me. But still, it was a shock to me to think, wow, 3 years ago she's gone. No wonder I just felt like, where is she? Where is she? I felt a bit of a sadness, but without knowing what's happening. It's unlike someone to just disappear, their phone number, whatever. How else can I get a hold of them, right? Um, but yeah, gone. So let's take some bold steps this week. One calculated step, whether it's raising your price, pitch to that partner, do a live, invest in training, enter the room, that room that you've never stepped into, talk to somebody, just see something and say, I want to enter into that room. What does it take? I'm going to go there. Yeah. Just that boldness, that action that allows you to slay a few giants. And I want us to just do a little guided meditation before I close the session today, because I think this one is huge. It's really standing in the way in ways more than we can even anticipate. So I'm just gonna find my little guided music that I like to play, um, and I just want you to really take stock of our session today. And just look at how And I think fear is one of those. If you were to imagine a room, right? Fear would get into the room and fill the whole room up. If it was a squidgy ball, it would like take over the whole room, that all these other little doubts would find now little corners. Fear is the massive one, that if you can pop that bubble and get it out, it just makes room. Everything else you'll be able to pull down, you know. So I just want you to, you know, think about it yourself right now. Just if you're somewhere where you can just shut your eyes, do so. And think about these individuals I spoke about. They had a promised land ahead of them, just like you do. They had things they wanted to accomplish. They knew there was more. Perhaps right now you are actually living in part of your promised land. The life that you're living now is a life you prayed for at once upon a time. And so it's not like, you know, you're not fulfilling the thing that you have wanted in your life. You're partially there. You've got a lot of what you dreamt about, what you desired. But you know that whilst the clock is still moving on this side of eternity, there are things yet for you to do, things yet for you to accomplish, things that are just waiting with your name on them. Only you can do them. Only you can step in. Only you can possess and accomplish. And it's too late for excuses now. You are taking these moves where we're getting rid of every excuse, every limitation, every anti-progress ideology, behavior pattern in our life that is keeping us from the frustration of not experiencing that which we know is within us. And I just want you to just imagine yourself standing in front of a lush green piece of land, and you've been given the creator's paintbrush, where as you move your arm and imagine yourself painting, you begin to bring forth those things that need to be in your existence beyond the fear, the things that require you to be bold and courageous to experience. So begin to paint away with this imaginary paintbrush. What will it look like? What will it be like? What impact will that have? Paint away, paint away. There's no limits in this place, there's no limits. The space is all yours, all yours. This land is all yours. It has your name on it. Now, I want you to do something incredible. I want you to step into this world that you have designed with this invisible paintbrush. I want you to step into a day and just begin to hear the buzz, the noise, the laughter, the sounds associated with your promised land. Step in, step in, step in. What does it smell like? Take in all the senses that you can, the sounds, the feeling of being right there. Experience every emotion. All because you decided to get rid of fear. It was always there, waiting for you, always there, waiting for you to step in and experience it fully. How do you feel? What emotions do you have? How is it impacting the lives around you? In a few moments, I'm going to ask you to just step into another room, and this is the activation room where you begin to take and map out the next steps that will ensure that in a few weeks, few months, few years, all that you have painted, all that you've experienced a few minutes ago will become reality. So as you come back into this room, you come with the full download of what you need to do, the steps you need to take. There's no stopping you now. Fear has lost its power over you. There's a wonderful scripture that I love that says that God's perfect love, it casts out all fear. You're loved enough to be here, to be alive, to be present because you are the one designed, earmarked to build, to design, to do that which you've been dreaming about. So allow that love, that acceptance from those who matter to surround you, to strengthen you, to override every system in your existence that had been letting you down up until this point. Every fear cast out, coming back into the room now. Oh, hi guys. Oh, I love that. I did that with you as I was doing it. I loved it. Ah, did you manage to paint anything, guys, or was it too much? Hello? Are you with me?
I managed to, but I then got distracted, so I couldn't finish
You couldn't.
painting it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, you know you can carry on when you're in a nice quiet space because I know you've been out and about, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Goza. Sorry you joined us in the middle. How are you?
No, I'm all right, thank you. Sorry, my day was just running a little late today.
That's okay.
Um, but I think I caught the most important thing, which was that meditation and visualization.
Hmm.
And I managed to paint the factory and go inside it, which was a bit scary.
Ooh.
But I must tell you
Hallelujah.
something funny though. So I tend to I have a very overreact active imagination,
Imagination.
or when people talk I see things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you were telling us the story of your friend, the lady who taught you the flag worship and she died, I have to tell you, in my meditation, I started off dead, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "No, no, 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 no! This is not your story. Like that is not you. Can you focus?" But once I had focused, then it was really
Oh,
beautiful. And so,
oh,
thank you for just reminding us that fear is, it can overwhelm us. But just that session really did a lot for me. So, thank you. Yeah,
oh, you're
thank you
welcome.
very
You're
much. Yeah.
welcome. Amazing. Let me just, I think I've stopped recording. Yeah, let me make sure I have. And how did you guys get on with your